Adult and Family Education, and University of the District of Columbia Mini Professional Development Institute. We'd like to thank the panelists that will presenting information this morning, focusing on how to meet the diverse needs of district residents, primarily with an emphasis on youth and young adults. And our facilitator this morning will be Dr. Antoinette Mitchell, and each of the panelists will also introduce themselves. Dr. Bruce, would you like to also welcome everyone to today's session?
Okay, good morning. I'm Dr. Heather Bruce. I'm the program director of the Adult Education Program at the University of the District of Columbia. On behalf of the university, I want to welcome all of you who have taken your time to join us again today of this exhilarating mini PD Institute that we are having, but also to say thank you to the panelists. We have an illustrious group of panelists, and we are so excited about looking about what we are going to hear from you as you answer the questions today. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce. Additionally, providing support during the session will be Stacy Downey, Tracy Richard, Nakia Lynch, and Cynthia Brown of the Adult and Family Education team. If you have, feel free to put questions in the chat. There will be also opportunities for you to unmute yourself to ask questions as well. And if you're having technical difficulties, please also include that in the chat, and a member of the AFE team will respond to your inquiry for assistance. Thank you so much. And Dr. Mitchell, please take it away.
Thank you so much, and welcome once again, everyone, to the third day of this wonderful conference. We are so excited to be here and to share with you some really important information and perspectives from folks that are in the field. We are excited to bring you this particular panel, and we hope to keep the ball rolling in terms of providing you with information and resources that'll help us support our youth. Many of us are in the comforts of our home right now. We are participating in this conference as a part of our jobs. We are safe, we are close to family, but we know in contrast, many of our youth are not in such a wonderful situation. The panelists today are working day and night to support our youth, and we hope to share a lot of really wonderful information with you. We have panelists from Covenant House, from OSSI's Health and Wellness Division, from the Re-Engagement Center, and from Potomac Job Corps Center. I'm going to ask now that each panelist just take a minute to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the organization or program that you represent. And let's start with Clifton Rogers from Covenant House.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Cliff Rogers. I'm the director here over our Career Pathways program at Covenant House. Covenant House, our mission is to power and safeguard and serve young people who are experiencing homelessness and disconnected in the DC area. We work with young folks 18 to 24. There are 31 Covenant Houses across the United States and in 6 countries. So thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you so much. Next, let's go to health and wellness. I think we have Claudia Price, Project Aware Program Coordinator, and Alicia De Carmelo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Claudia Price, and I am the Project Aware Program Coordinator with Division of Health and Wellness. So I work specifically with expanding and improving school-based mental health services in our Project Aware schools, which are in DCPS, We have KIP and we have Friendship Public Charter School, and also just the greater school-based mental health expansion through our partnership with Department of Behavioral Health. And I will let Alyssa introduce herself and her program, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do at Health and Wellness.
Great. Alyssa?
Morning, everybody. My name is Alicia DiCamello, and I am the Community Program Specialist within the Division of Health and Wellness. And one of the main programs that I oversee is the Emergency Food Assistance Program. The acronym is TFAP. So that's a federal nutrition program that provides food to over 100 food pantries, soup kitchens, and senior centers across the district. So happy to be here and to share more information on that today.
Terrific. Thank you very much and welcome. Next, Veronica Simmons, Director of the Re-Engagement Center, and Gregory Palmer, who's a rec specialist, and Dana Simpson, also a rec specialist.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Good morning, everyone. So happy to be here with you and in the company of greatness and people who are serving the youth in the district so well. We welcome you from the OSSI DC Re-Engagement Center. We were established in 2014. We serve youth ages 16 to 24 who have disengaged from their education. We have the greatest muscle in the cross collaboration of government and community-based organizations that collectively support youth who have disconnected. So we are one of the few SEAs in the nation to have a dedicated office at the state level to support district-wide re-engagement efforts. And the REC is an agent of connection with functions and services that feel similar to a community-based organization, but with governmental authority. We're a dream team of 8 fabulous team members that really go hard in the paint, we like to say, when it comes to serving our youth. We also have a dedicated outreach team and specialists that provide direct case management to youth who have been disconnected. So feel free to check out our website, www.backontrackdc.org. We have an online referral form and an online chat function where you can chat directly with us to get more information. And I will swing it to Mr. Greg Palmer, who runs our post-secondary pathways and post-secondary and career pathways program.
Thank you, Lady V. So my name is Greg Palmer, and like she said, I am one of the rec specialists, and I am leading the post-secondary and career pathway program, which is our drive to help students understand and find out what's next after they get their high school diploma or get their GED. We want to provide them stepping stones to a possible future of what they identify success to look like. And we're very excited with the work that we're doing right now, the work that's coming up in 2021, and we can't wait to share some of the information that we have.
Terrific. Thank you. Dana.
All right, good morning. My name is Dana Simpson. I serve as the lead re-engagement center specialist at the DC REC, or what we call DC's premier re-engagement center. You know, we claim it in the work that we do. I have been a part of the center since its inception, and as the lead REC specialist, it is my job to support the entire team and make sure that they have all of the resources and opportunities that our youth need in order to be successful.
Thank you so much. And now let's move to Barrington Tolliver at the Potomac Job Corps Center. Barrington, are you there?
No, I believe he's having problems getting on, so we are trying to help him.
Okay, we'll come back and introduce him in just a second.
Thank you.
Sure. So collectively, this panel is doing much to provide what the organizers of this Mini PD Institute are calling first aid for the soul. They are meeting basic needs of youth while also attending to their psychological needs. We've heard about housing and mental health, food, education, and Job Corps preparing folks for jobs. So there is a lot of work being done on behalf of our youth, and so let's get into some conversation. The first question that I have for the panel is, what are the services, programs, and resources for which your agency or program has received increased demand from youth during the pandemic?
Well, I'll go ahead and start. So here at Covenant House, since COVID-19, we've seen an uptick with homeless young folks in the region. And so what we're doing is, first of all, we're making sure they're safe. And so we're providing beds that are socially distanced. We're making sure that staff has protective gear, so they work with the young folks. We're making sure our facility is cleaned daily, so as these young folks come in, but most importantly, that they have a place to lay their head, something to eat, their clothes are clean, and we want to make sure that all those necessities happen before we start engaging them on programming and moving forward and stabilizing their life. So we're making sure those basic needs are met: food, clothing, that they know where to go to get a test, that they know how to social distance, that they know how to contact folks. If some folks need phones, we're making sure people have phones. So we're starting with those basic necessities and then going from there.
Terrific.
I would agree. We saw the same thing at the rec center. I'm glad that Dr. Bruce was talking about Maslow's hierarchy earlier this week, because it rang true, right? A pandemic comes and we need to focus on those basic needs: the food, shelter, clothing, and safety, right? So how are our students going to feed themselves? Are they going to have a house to live in because they don't have any funds? They got fired, or it's because of the furloughs, right? Information about what's true, how do they keep their family safe? Those were all the rises in what we saw because of the pandemic as well. When talking about the programs, what programs were actually going to provide social distancing, right? That was a major concern. People want to get engaged, but they wanted to be safe as well. So do we have the programs that's providing the safety so that they can social distance or virtually learn? Does the programs provide technology, the assistance to technology, right? A quiet place for them to learn. There were so many different things that were popping up that our students were experiencing. That it's some are being tackled, but we're still having some of those come up as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great.
Greg, and to piggyback on that, Dr. Mitchell, as well, mental health, the mental
Yes.
health component really rose to the top amidst this pandemic, and properly supporting our youth who were feeling isolated, because some of our spaces are safe spaces for the youth to come to. And when you remove us because of social distance requirements, that left them without those safe spaces, right? Those comfortable faces, those warm Miss Dana hugs that Dana gives out at the DC Re-Engagement Center, so we had to be creative with how to connect and engage during this time.
And I could actually jump in on that too, just to speak about some of the work that we've done with school-based behavioral health services. And a lot of our work has centered around trying to, number one, mitigate any barriers to access to care. So letting families and students know that if you were already enrolled and had a mental health clinician, you can still continue your services and continue seeing them, and then also supporting them to make sure that they had the technology required to keep those services on, and also being flexible and creative in the ways that we were providing those school-based mental health services. So was it texting? Was it through phone calls? Was it through video chats? Was it through Teams or whatever virtual platform the school was using? And then also making sure that our clinicians felt empowered to give services in a way that they've never given before. So there was a lot of work done through our community of practice on really strengthening our clinicians' strength base and providing services virtually. So identifying best practices, sharing them with the clinicians, and then also providing tips and sheets for parents and families on best practices when trying to support your child who is getting behavioral health services in a virtual space. And also just strengthening and making sure that schools were able to continue those practices that we were doing when we were physically together to ensure that students do continue to have access to care.
Great, great, great. Anybody else want to add anything just in terms of what was the increased demand? What else did you see? What were youth asking for as a result of the pandemic? Anything else?
Barrington's here now too, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you. Barrington, would you like to introduce yourself and then perhaps answer the first question? We'll come back. We'll come back. We'll get you on, Barrington. Just hold on for a little while longer. All right. So what we've heard is that the youth are in demand and are asking for housing, for safe spaces, for mental health services, for all of the items on the Maslow's hierarchy that are so important just to exist and be safe. Let's move on to the next question, which has to do with challenges that you face in delivering services to youth during the pandemic. So what challenges has your agency encountered in meeting the increased needs of youth during the pandemic, and what are some of the strategies you've used to address these challenges? Let's start with Covenant House again.
Sure. So there's a ton of challenges out here. We all are experiencing these challenges. What we're doing is we're finding creative ways to tackle that. We're a 24/7 operation, so the needs of the people we serve, they don't have the luxury of being virtual. So what we're doing here at Covenant House is we're booking young people by appointment, and we're staggering those appointments. People need to get their mental health services. That doesn't work virtually for everyone. Some people have to come in and have that connection. So we're staggering our services. We're making appointments for the young people so they can stay connected. We're also working with partners and bringing our partners in and making sure our partners, they have a day. So we keep our numbers down below 40 in the building. So that way our partners can come in and they can provide services as well. Some of our partners are on this call. Also, what we're doing too is we're addressing it so that the young people see that this is a challenge for everyone, not just for them, but for the staff. So as we strongly encourage young people to get mental health services, Covenant House staff are strongly encouraged to take advantage of our free services we have for our mental health here, for the staff here. And so we're making sure all of that is working for the young folks, but also too, continue to see how we can better serve them. We know that people still need IDs. People still need to work. People still need to go to school. So how do we do that for folks who don't have a skill set to get on virtually? They need to come on in the building, make that appointment. We'll make the appointment while they're in the building so that way they can continue to be safe and we can continue to work on some of these things, opposed to just saying, go online. That's not going to work for everyone. So we still want to make sure that the folks who can be online, they're online, but also make these appointments, be creative, watch our numbers in our building, continue to educate the young people about what's going on with COVID and staying up to date on where we're at with this thing. I'm at work right now in the building. So it's about making sure that we keep the young people safe, ourselves safe, but also too, not limiting how we're going to work with them, because we still have to work with folks.
Help me understand the scale at Covenant House. How many youth are we talking about in a given week that you are able to touch?
Well, so that number is going to depend. I haven't looked at the numbers this morning, so it was cold last night. There might have been 25 young people off the street. Those young people could be random. Every night it could be some of the same young people, or it could be a new group of young people. So that will depend. We want to make sure that that the clothes are clean, that they need new clothes. Let's take care of that. And then we want to see how can we assist? Are there some mental health challenges? Do people need medication? If that's a barrier, we got to get people medication. So we just want to make sure who's here. We count them every night, and then we go from there. In our shelter, we only ask the young people to come as they are, and then as they wake up in the morning, we address their challenges and their concerns. There's other partners that we refer to as well, but that number could go from 25 when our beds are full. Then we call our other partners and we shuttle them to another location so that they can be safe. I will address if there is an outbreak of COVID. What we do is we make sure we isolate that young person and they go to a hotel. And we make sure before they come back into the shelter that they have a negative test, but also too that they have some health and some case management around their health. We can't just say you have a negative test. We have to make sure that we're helping them maintain, look for symptoms, see what their long-term, short-term health care goals are. Do they have insurance? Do they know where to go to get the free testing? So we try to make sure all that's happening with all the folks that we serve to come to the shelter.
Great, thank you so much. And what about challenges, Claudia, that you're facing?
I think two of our biggest have been consistently throughout this time has been access and engagement. So the district undertook a really large effort to make sure that every household that needed a laptop or a Chromebook got access to that. And if they needed internet, a hotspot. But one of the challenges that we see as we were doing that work was the fact that some of these households have multiple students. So while we have, each household with a device, it might be multiple students and multiple devices. So that has been kind of a challenge. And then also having families that have sort of disengaged since we've been in this virtual posture and figuring out ways to reach out to them, how to make sure that they stay involved and active in their services so that, schools can lay eyes on them, because a lot of times the kids that are getting mental health services might be our most vulnerable. There's also just been a lot of work done by school-based teams to make sure those families also do have food to eat and that their basic needs are being made. So just really going beyond providing mental health services and doing a lot of that case management-based work for families.
Just with the mental health services, I would imagine that going from a face-to-face session to an online session could be difficult. Have you heard from therapists or from clients around how they've adjusted to online services?
We've gotten a lot of feedback from our clinicians about what that's been like, and it has been a challenge. Number one, just trying to figure out creative ways to engage since you're not with the person, especially, if you're doing a lot of tactile stuff or working on assignments and you have, access to all your tools and supplies. And, when your youth is in their home, you don't have access to do that. So really being creative in the ways that they are enacting their treatment plan or going with their course of treatment with the young person that they're working with has been a challenge. But I've, based off of some of the reports I've heard, a lot of our clinicians have met that head on and have been doing a lot of really creative stuff with them. A lot of our school-based teams have also really utilized social media to engage and get families linked, and to just, I think it's been a big campaign to make sure that everyone knows that services are available and this is what they are and this is how you get them. And a lot of the work moving forward is going to be around the recovery work. So what are some of those services that we can do at that tier 1 level, those universal levels, to make sure that everyone's needs are met? And then we can start to figure out which students might need more care.
And what about challenges in terms of food delivery? Alicia, can you talk a little bit about challenges that you faced in your program?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we faced with the program and food distribution is what a lot of people are speaking to, is the social distancing aspect. What a lot of other states implemented for food distributions were drive-through distributions, so that clients didn't even have to get out of their car, interact in any way with staff. But of course, as we know in the district, most people do not have a vehicle, and those type of distributions don't work for us. So we just worked very closely with USDA to put into place every flexibility that was allowable for the program during the pandemic. One of the biggest things for us was eliminating the need for clients to actually fill out any physical forms or sign anything when they receive food. For social distancing, and also to help speed up the process so that people aren't waiting in lines as long. So that's, I think, a challenge that we faced, is just how to get the food to residents while maintaining that. Oh, and one other thing as well is typically most pantries across the district operate so that clients can come in and shop for the food that they want themselves and take what interests them. And most pantries have now had to switch to pre-bagging food, again, for social distancing. So those are some of the challenges that we've faced. But again, we're continuing to work with USDA and talk to our partners in other states to learn from each other and be able to have safe distributions.
Hello, yes, hi.
Was someone going to add something?
Yeah, hi, it's me, Barrington. I just wanted to say it here at Potomac Job Corps Center. One of the things I think that we've done here is that our center, it runs Monday through Friday. However, as far as the food for students still are served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have services through Sodexo, so students do not need to look forward to, let's say, receiving any additional let's say food other than what the center provides. So throughout the pandemic, that has been a continuous resource for our students here on center throughout the pandemic.
Great, thank you so much for sharing, Barrington, and welcome to the panel. Glad we were able to work out the technology and get you on board. Thank you very much, Alicia and Barrington, for that information around food service and delivery. Have you experienced any problems in the chain in getting the food from the source to the shelters or to the pantries? And are you using volunteers to pack the food? How's that delivery chain working?
Well, Dr. Mitchell, I want to jump in right there. That's interesting. You should ask that question. Even for the DC Re-Engagement Center, we saw a rise in the need for food resources. And one of the things our staff was just jumped right in and began supporting students in retrieval of this. So we actually used the DC COVID website, and we would go to local churches and do food pickups. The DC Rec does have a van, so we did food drop-offs during this time to safe drop-offs. We designated some rules around how to safely deliver, but we were actually making food deliveries for some of our youth.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had an issue with challenge with access to information you can trust as well, right? So we ensured that we took that information like from covid.dc.gov that was that official information to share with our students, whether it be our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also our virtual outreach platform, which is DC Rec Live, where Joseph Reeves shared health tips, shared where you can get resources like your food. And yes, like you said, there were some issues with students not being able to go to the drop-offs, but like Lady V said, like our staff jumped in and ensured that our students had access to get those goods that they needed. I was waiting for Dr. Mitchell to call on the Re-Engagement Center before I went into anything. So
here we are. We're here right now.
Let me keep going. Okay,
Talk about your challenges and your creative ideas for addressing those challenges.
There we go. All right, so let me go into that a little bit. So we did have some challenges with options and identifying the options for our students because everything closed and then everything was starting to open back up. And how was it opening back up? Students need to know where to get that information. And because of the Back on Track site that we have and it being revamped and all the hard work that Brian Diaz did behind the scenes to ensuring that we have our online referral where referrals as well, right? It's an amazing asset to us, as well as having a little chat box in there where you're actually talking to a human, not an automated service. You're talking to one of the DC Re-Engagement staff. So if you're needing help to maneuver or have question that's on, it's there. It's available for you as well, right? We had challenges with access to service. So, like I said, things are starting to open back up. Some of our students needed specific needs, right? So identifying those specific needs that they do have. Strategic partnerships with the KBEC group, the Learning Circle, which is our virtual community to add integrated learning, and our social engagement involved was developed, right? And because of that partnership with the KBEC group, we're able to just access to education, access to some financial, access to career counseling from the activities provided by our post-secondary and career pathways program, right?
Hey, Gregory, for those of us not in the know, you're saying KBEC program? Tell the audience what that is.
So the KBEC program is a partnership that we've made because of our desire to ensure we can do all of what we need to do during the pandemic, right? They allow us the access to our students with the ability to get paid for coming and doing their GED essentials, taking their GED readies and proving that they're ready to take that GED to open the door for themselves, right? And this is all because of the hard work from Dana Simpson. Ms. Simpson, would you like to come in and talk about the connection with the KBEC group?
Actually, I was about to put it in the chat, but yes, the KBEC group is a Yelp funded program. That's the Youth Earn and Learn program. It is funded by the Department of Employment Services. We formed that strategic partnership in response to our youth needing money. I mean, primarily, and us not having those incentives to give them. So that KBEC partnership provides our youth not only with GED preparation, but training for an industry recognized certification, as well as providing them with a stipend for those services. So we really appreciate that partnership with KBEC. We are embedded within their program and their program design, which is inclusive of our virtual platforms such as Essential Education and GED Academy. They also participate every week in our DC Rec Live platform, in which it's a part of our circle. It's a part of TLC, which is the learning circle, in which everything that we have done in response to COVID-19 really falls under that umbrella. And our team has been vigilant in making sure that we have those resources to provide to our youth during this time.
And I would like to add, because of that connection, we were able to develop our youth action board as well, which is the CORE, right? It's called the CORE, the Council of Real Experiences, that's led by Dietrich Trent, right? This allows our students to get opportunities to have their voice be heard during this time. They've been in focus groups with DC Kitchen, with Martha's Table. And matter of fact, the information that Martha's Table received for them helped them identify their 5-year strategic plan moving forward. So our students' voices are being heard, and we're ensuring that they're being placed in situations where the voice can be heard as well. And we're looking forward to next year, because we do have a partnership that's connecting with the Covenant House. When Mr. Cliff said we have some partners online, we're one of those that's looking forward to what we can do for the students at the Covenant House. We'll be there to help with that barrier remediation first and foremost. That's where we're passionate about, ensuring that they have that, and we can be of an asset to those that come through those doors and have those barriers removed.
Sure.
Also, go ahead.
Oh, were you going to say one more thing?
Yeah, just one more. About having, like he mentioned about scheduling, right? Being able to go onto their site and schedule certain one-on-ones with people with social distancing. We'll be able to do that too, and provide some career counseling for those that come through the door and need some assistance with finding their next step after their GED as well. Let me be quiet. Dr. Mitchell needs to talk.
No. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Tolliver, you want to talk about challenges that you faced at Job Corps and what you've done to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. As everyone has said, I think one of the most important things, I think, for a lot of young adults would be the sheltering as well as the food resources for students. So throughout the pandemic, a few things that we've done is to build a list of, let's say, community members who were able to give students away from the center, let's say, food or resources, as well as sheltering. So being able to bring, let's say, community members together, having those continuous conversations with them were resources for our students. So some of the things that we have done here on center as well is to create a resumption plan team. So our resumption planning team, as far as the leadership here, started to look at some of those ways in which we can provide resources for students. So that meant, let's say, having virtual meetings as we are doing today to build those supports for those men and women that are, let's say, away from the center. However, for a lot of our students as well, some of those students may have suffered severely, maybe some traumatic issues outside of Job Corps as well. So still providing some of those health issues for our students, which is 24/7 here on center. Some of the students, even though they transition home to various wards inside of DC, Ward 1 through 8, students still had resources as far as, let's say, health here on center. So anytime they had any, let's say, questions or, let's say, concerns, they were able to connect with the health team here on center. So those are some of the things that we have done, along with some other people mentioning. We have Student Government Association, and they're very big in expressing the concerns or voices of the student body here at Potomac. And so those are a couple of things that we have done in between time, as well as, let's say, upgrading the center facilities as well. So when students return, they'll be safe. Everyone will be able to engage in, let's say, academic learning, still practicing social distancing as well, but also having fun while doing so.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Let's move along to our last question, which has to do with your ability to reach students and share information about programs. One of the things that has happened is that, the face-to-face interactions have been shut down in many instances. So given that, what innovative methods are your agencies using to apprise youth of programs, services, and resources during the pandemic? And why don't we just follow the pattern and start with Covenant House once again?
All right. Well, I have a captive audience, so there's not a lot of outreach I have to do. I have a group who they need our services, so I have. That's why it's so important that we involve some of the partners, because I have a group, and that group's going to look different every day. And so as far as being creative, making sure that we schedule our partners. If we have a partner here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have another partner here on Wednesdays. So that way, when we talk to these young folks, we're really curating services to meet their needs. Long gone are the days of just come in and let's see what you want to do. No, we're talking to these young folks and making sure that we put them with the right partner, with the right service, so they can get stability, because that's what we're all about here, stability. We need these young folks to be able to stabilize their lives so they can move forward, and so we can go on and help the next person, one person at a time. So it's instrumental. The outreach is here. Everyone on this call, thank you very much. We know that these advisory boards, we all have them. The young people tell us we do no recruiting. They know where to find us. It's just linking them after the fact. It's no secret, once you take care of someone's housing needs, we know we must do more. There has to be a holistic approach to solving this, and everyone on this call understands that. So as they come into Covenant House, then 30 days, we gotta stabilize them. We gotta get them off the street. We got to get them thinking. We got to give them some time to recover as well, because that's a hard thing. You're not going to just get over being homeless, but we need to make sure that we get them ready. So when we introduce them to our partners, that they're ready to go. I'll give you just a quick little story. Job Corps is instrumental. There's some folks who come in here and they get themselves together, they have their high school diploma, and then the next step is we need to do a warm handoff to Job Corps, which is taking a ton of our young people, and they're able to go get certifications, get those job skills, and then when they come back to the city, guess what? Now they're ready to find that place, because the transition, remember, we want young folks to come off the streets, but come off streets and move to stable housing. It's not just coming off the street. We want them to move to stable housing. That involves financial literacy, that involves mental health. Some of that involves reunification with family members. And so there's all these different dynamics that are so useful. Re-engagement center, love them as well. I had plenty of students that we referred there that they've helped get back into school. And then now we're all wrapping our hands around this one young person for their success. And I think that's really important. So as Covenant House might be the entry, it's not the exit for most of our young people. And so we just, they're coming in every day. So I'm glad I'm on this call so we can connect with one another. So that way we can make sure all of these young folks, because there's enough to go around, trust me. And they're going to just keep coming.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, let's move to the Re-engagement Center. What kind of innovative outreach are you doing?
Outreach. So like outside of our norm is about connection, right? Our norm is we call, email, FaceTime, WhatsApp, whatever we can, whatever way we can connect with our students. That's what we're looking for, right? But outside of the norm of what we've been doing, all of that is upped. In the beginning of COVID, we did our cold calls, so reaching back and connecting with everybody that has came through that door to ensure that they got what they needed. Also, focusing on building our stronger partnerships, right? We know that if we can do our outreach and connect to one, but if we're reaching out to our partners and giving them the information about what we're doing and accepting the information about what they're doing, they're able to reach a wider variety than we can as well. So we were very intentional about reaching out to 14 different educational placements that we spoke to during that time through our Back on Track meetings, and over 30 government and outside government agencies and organizations through our virtual partnership meetings, just to get the word out there about what's going on with the DC Re-engagement Center and find out what's going on with them. We also did pop-ups, being that we found out, okay, there's this technology barrier that's preventing students from being able to get documentation to us. So, and the fact that we missed our kids and we know our kids missed us and we wanted to put eyes on them. So we started doing pop-ups with social distancing involved as well. But this allowed us to mitigate that barrier that's being, this technology that was a barrier. I just looked outside and it started snowing. Okay. Also, our virtual outreach platform, which is the thing I'm most excited for and to share about, Rec Live. This is the thing right here, right?
Yes, tell us about Rec Live.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. So this is our first virtual outreach platform, which we're trying to meet as many needs as possible, right? The overarching goal of this PD is to share about the social emotional, the social economic, the physiological needs that we were able to meet, right? And Rec Live is one of those things that we're very intentional about what we're doing, very and being authentically intentional about trying to provide activities and things to meet all those needs, and create an environment where students feel comfortable and want to be at, right? We were creating a family during Rec Live. I tell a quick story if I can. We have a student who was having a rough holidays, right? We during one of our sessions, we're starting to talk about what did we experience over the holidays? What was the good times? What was the bad times? And one of the students just in the chat just said, I'm trying to keep my mind off of it, right? Before any of the staff could see it and react to it, the other students in the chat jumped on it. Hey, we're here for you. If you need anything, let us know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm here if you need to talk. Like, it's the fact that they know that this is a family, they can lean on each other, and it's not just us there to help. It's the whole group It's the whole TLC that's there that wants to ensure that this person is successful, that wants to ensure that this person has somebody to lean on. It's an amazing event to see. It's an amazing event to be a part of. And I encourage all of you to make sure you come back at 2 o'clock so you can get some information about the DC Reengagement's virtual outreach platform and what it can possibly look like, because we're very excited to share with you what it can possibly look like, creating an engaging, student-focused virtual platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really exciting to hear. Let's turn to our friends from health and wellness. In terms of both mental health and food, what innovative tools are you using and ideas are you using to get the word out to your clients?
So pre-pandemic, one of the things that we had instituted was school behavioral health coordinators. So every DC public and public charter school should have this person identified. It's usually someone who's involved in their mental health team as a social worker or maybe even an administrator. And they serve as sort of the hub of everything school-based behavioral health at their school. So really elevating and utilizing the people in these positions to make sure that on both ends, because a lot of times there's also a gap between staff knowing what services are available and knowing how to refer students to get help if they see anything, because usually they're the first line of defense when identifying a student that might need some counseling support. So utilizing that role to really make sure everyone is aware of what services are available at the school level, and then also using them to reach out to families, not just youth, but also parents. So that has been something that we have really relied on. DBH has also done a lot of really interesting work surrounding parent engagement. They have these parent chats on Wellness Wednesdays where parents can come and they are given tools about how to deal with stress management, mental health concerns. They're all recorded. I believe the link was shared in here. So all the past Wellness Wednesdays and parent chats are available, but they have them every Wednesday so parents can engage. There also have been lines. The Access Helpline was opened up for parents to get consultation as well, because they are also dealing with a lot of things that they might not have had to have dealt with on their own. And then again, just really trying to meet students and youth where they are. So really accessing the social media. DCPS has a great mental health landing page on Instagram. Some of our LEAs have also made websites dedicated to mental health and wellness where they're leading in mindfulness activities and relaxation activities. They have information on how to connect if you need help. They've made their referral forms virtual if you would like to be referred for mental health services. So really just trying to meet those needs in a lot of different places and make sure that we're hitting all of these access points to make sure that people know where they can go to get support.
Terrific, terrific. Alicia?
Yeah, so I think one of the kind of biggest things that this pandemic brought to light for me was really the lack of awareness of the TFAP program in the district. We have a lot of partners who are operating the program, and there are just a lot of residents who aren't aware of the program or understand what their rights are and the food that they're entitled to receive. So it's really, this past year for me has been a lot of just trying to make sure that we get the word out there. So things like we work very closely with the Capital Area Food Bank for the program. So having them publicize all of the sites that you can go to receive TFAP foods, working with other partners across the district to give them information on the program and to have them share it. Social media has been a great one, especially for reaching youth. I will say with TFAP, as I feel with some of the other programs that we're talking about today, it's a lot of word of mouth as well. If residents are able or youth are able to access the resources from somewhere, they then tell their friends about it and they can go. So we're working too on just having more resources, even like a flyer with basic information on the program and where people can go to get help, and then to share that with our other partners across the district so that the information is out there. And I will say something interesting. The TFAP program specifically received additional funding through the CARES Act and the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act. And through that, in this past fiscal year, we distributed in the district we had an almost 1,000% increase in the amount of food that we were distributing. So it was really, it's just great to see that impact. And I'll say, looking at the period when the pandemic began, like March through September, it was over a 2,000% increase compared to the prior year. So it's good to see that the food is getting out there. We're not just receiving it and then it's sitting in a warehouse. We are distributing it. So we know that the word is getting out there, but still just trying to work on just making sure that people know about the program.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. Thank you very much. And let's go to Mr. Tolliver at Job Corps.
Yes. So we 100% had to pivot our facility operations as well as the conversations that we had on center. So not only do we focus on career technical trainings as well as the academic trainings or the career transition services, one of the things that we've done to engage our youth in between the ages of 16 to 24 is being able to develop workforce council meetings, as well as having community relation council meetings. But we've also had the opportunity to, again, with our Resumption planning team, which is our leadership team, we've looked at the center from the beginning to the end of the students' transition here on center. And some of the things that we look forward to doing or continuing to do is to be able to continue to work with the DC Workforce Council, having ideas bounce in between, let's say, Job Corps as well as the DC Workforce Council is important. So that was a conversation we had to pivot as well. Another thing we had to engage in continuously throughout the pandemic for our students was to be able to engage them into, let's say, distance learning. And so all of our students who were on center, who transitioned from center, they've all received laptops to continue their distance learning, which was important because we still want students to focus on their career as well as their academics, to be able to transition into the workforce, the armed forces, or to be able to go into post-secondary education. Also, we continue to engage in, let's say, DMPED, which is the Deputy Mayor Planning and Economic Development meetings that are held weekly to understand what's going on in our great city, which is Washington, D.C. We make sure that we keep our students engaged. The next thing is that we also have virtual center tours. So we used to have them physically, but now they're virtually every Wednesday at 9:00 a.m. So I invite everyone to, if they have the opportunity, to be a part of those virtual meetings with our outreach team. So we have an outreach and admissions team. But also, I like to thank the Covenant House. I want to continue our partnership, which is helping steward our students into student achievement, being able to have them transition in between partners. Because like you said, we want to make sure we wrap our arms around all of our men and women in Washington, D.C. so they can become successful. And last, I would just like to add, being able to be a part of the Mayor Amelia Bowser weekly meetings that she has, or town hall meetings, that also is a very important aspect in which we have incorporated into our program to keep students engaged.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. We've only got about 5 minutes left. I want to squeeze in one more question. You all and your organizations have been pretty tremendous in terms of the services that you've been able to offer to youth in DC. I'm wondering, what, in your opinion, did you find most surprising about the response to the services that you've been able to provide? Anybody can jump in. Most surprising.
Well, I guess for me, it's been the overwhelming support we've received from the community and people who want to help. People have helped in ways that I can't even imagine. People have donated not only their time, their energy, their money, their expertise, and it's been quite, overwhelming to see how many people in the community have come out of these corners to really support and provide interesting ways, from Uber eating some people food, to delivering brand new coats, to helping get people to shuttle to testing sites. So I'm just overwhelmed with how many people have just really just been supportive in so many ways.
I'll piggyback off of that. The fact that I got here right before COVID, right? This is all I've known. So be able to come into a team, to watch what this team does, right? To watch how this team sacrifices to make sure that they're meeting the needs of our students and grabbing in other people and ensuring that they're making the connections. It's been amazing to watch. I'm proud to be a part of this team and say that I am, because from the top down, you see people sacrificing. You see that this is a priority. It's not just a job, it's a passion, and they're ensuring that other people that are around them, they're only grabbing on people that feel the exact same way, right? This is why we have those strategic partnerships, and it's amazing just to be a part of it. And like Cliff said, it's good to see. It's good to see and know.
Great. Anybody else?
Look, Dr. Mitchell, I was going to add something, but I think Greg closed out well for the DC re-engagement.
I was going to say the same thing. I couldn't have said it any better. But this is a wonderful time, and we're just so pleased, like I said, at everyone's dedication, all youth serving entities in the district, and our innate ability to pull together, because it's not about us. It's about our youth, and it's about providing them, like I said, with the resources and the opportunities that they need to be successful. And as long as we keep working as a community to continue this work, we will accomplish those successes.
I suspect, Dana, that is a wonderful way to close out this session. Thank you all so very much for joining and sharing the wonderful work that you've been able to accomplish on behalf of our youth. We are just in debt and very grateful to you for the work that you are doing. Your PowerPoints are on the website. I'm sure the PowerPoints will be posted on our website. I believe that the PowerPoint is available in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us. And again, thank you to our wonderful panel for the wonderful, meaningful work that you're doing with our youth. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, everyone.
And please join us later on this afternoon for the 2:00 p.m. session with the Re-Engagement Center, talking about all the innovative ways that they are meeting the needs of youth in the District of Columbia. Dr. Bruce, I'm not sure if Dr. Bruce want to say any parting words, but God bless you all, and thank you so much for being a part of this. Dr. Bruce, I see you're flashing.
I wanted to say it was outstanding. I have other work that I had intended to multitask and do, and I couldn't. I was just listening. I love the passion. I love the caring that I'm hearing, but I also love the level of professionalism. Keep it going. It's a good thing. Thank you, and God bless. Have a happy holiday.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you at 2 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye.